Settled in the kitchen, Tita resolved to pay more attention to what she was doing. She had to suppress the memories that tormented her, or Mama Eleanor's fury would erupt at any moment. Since she had left the sausage resting when she had gone to prepare Mama Eleanor's bath, enough time had passed to go on to stuffing the casings. The casings shall be pork intestines, cleaned and cured. The sausages are filled using a funnel. Tie them off tightly 4 fingers apart, and poke them with a needle so the air can escape, because air can spoil the sausage. It is very important to squeeze the sausage firmly while filling it, so you don't leave any spaces. Hard as Tita tried to stem the memories that assaulted her and caused her to make more mistakes, holding a large sausage in her hands, she couldn't keep from remembering the summer night when they all slept outside the patio. During the dog days, they hung giant hammocks on the patio because of the unbearable heat. They set a large earthenware jar full of ice on the table, and inside they placed a cut-up watermelon in case someone was hot, and got up in the middle of the night wanting to eat a slice and cool down. Mama Eleanor was a specialist in cutting the watermelon. Taking a sharp knife, she would drive the point in so it penetrated just to the end of the green part of the rind, without touching the heart of the watermelon. She made her cuts through the rind with such mathematical precision that when she was done, she could pick up the watermelon and give it a single blow against a stone in a particular spot, and like magic, the watermelon rind would open up like petals of a flower, leaving the heart intact on the table. Unquestionably, when it came to dividing, dismantling, dismembering, dislocating, detaching, dispossessing, destroying, or dominating, Mama Eleanor was a pro. After she died, no one ever came close to accomplishing the same feats with the watermelon. From her hammock, Tita heard someone get up for a chunk of watermelon. This awakened in her the urge to go to the bathroom. She had been drinking beer all day long, not to cool off, but to make more milk to nurse her nephew. He was sleeping peacefully next to her sister. Getting up in the dark, she couldn't see a thing. There wasn't a glimmer of light. She was walking towards the bathroom, trying to remember where the hammocks were. She didn't want to stumble into anybody. Pedro, sitting in his hammock, was eating a slice of watermelon and thinking of Tita. Having her so near made him feel a tremendous excitement. He couldn't sleep thinking of her there, a few steps from him. And from Mama Eleanor too, of course. He heard the sound of footsteps in the shadows and stopped breathing for a few minutes. It had to be Tita. Her distinctive fragrance wafted towards him on the breeze, a mixture of jasmine and cooking odours that was hers alone. For a moment he thought that Tita had got up to look for him. The sound of her approaching footsteps blended with the violent beating of his heart. But no, the steps were moving away from him, to the bathroom. Pedro got up, as quiet as a cat, and followed her. Tita was surprised to feel someone pull her towards him and cover her mouth, but she realized who it was immediately and didn't offer any resistance as the hand first slid down her neck to her breast and then explored her entire body. While she was receiving a kiss on the lips, Pedro took her hand in his and invited her to explore his body. Tita timidly touched the hard muscles on Pedro's arms and chest, lower down. She felt a red-hot cold that had throbbed through his clothes. She removed her hand, frightened not only by her discovery, but a cry from Mama Eleanor. "Tita, where are you?" "Right here, Mammy. I'm going to the bathroom." Fearful that her mother would suspect something, Tita hurried back to bed, where she passed a tormented night, enduring her desire to urinate along with another urge. Her sacrifice didn't do a bit of good. The following day, Mama Eleanor, who for a while seemed to have changed her mind about sending Pedro and Rosario to Texas, speeded up her plans for departure. 3 days later, they had left the ranch. Those memories were banished by Mama Eleanor's entry into the kitchen. Tita let the sausage she was holding fall to the ground. She suspected her mother was able to read her thoughts. Behind Mama Eleanor came Chencha, weeping inconsolably. "Don't cry, child. It annoys me to see you cry. What has happened?" "Felipe has come back and says he's dead." Who says who's dead?" "Well, the child." "What child?" Tita demanded. Well, what child do you think? Well, your nephew. Whatever he ate, it didn't agree with him, and he died. I thought I didn't read that dramatic enough, but I really can't be fucked. Tita felt the household crashing down around her head. The blow, the sound of the dishes breaking into 1,000 pieces. She sprang to her feet. Sit down and get back to work. I don't want any tears. Poor child. I hope the good Lord has taken him in all his glory. But we can't give in to sorrow. There's work to do. First work, then do as you please, except crying. Do you hear? Tita felt a violent agitation take possession of her being. Still fingering the sausage, she calmly met her mother's gaze, and then, instead of obeying her order, she started to tear apart all the sausages she could reach, screaming wildly. Here's what I do with your orders. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of obeying you. Mama Eleanor went to her, picked up a wooden spoon, and smashed her across the face with it. You did it. You killed Roberto. Roberto, screamed Tita beside herself, and she ran from the room, wiping the blood that dripped from her nose. She took the pigeon and a pailful of worms and climbed up to the dovecote. Dovecote? I don't know. Mama Eleanor ordered them to remove the ladder and let her stay up there overnight. Then she and Chencha finished filling the sausages in silence. Mama Eleanor was always such a perfectionist and so careful to get all the air out of the sausage. No one could explain it when they discovered a week later that all the sausages in the cellar were swarming with worms. The next morning she ordered Chencha to get Tita down from the dove covert. Mama Eleanor couldn't do it because her one fear in life was heights. She couldn't bear the thought of having to climb up that ladder. She couldn't bear the thought of having to climb up that ladder, 20 feet high, to get to the little door that would have to be opened in order to get in. She found a convenient pride more than she actually had, and ordered someone else to bring Tita down, even though she felt a strong urge to go up there and personally drag Tita down by the hair. Chencha found Tita holding the pigeon. She didn't seem to realize it was dead. She was trying to feed it some more worms. The poor thing probably died of indigestion because Tita fed it too much. Tita looked up, her eyes vacant, and stared at Chencha, as if she had never seen her before. Chencha came down saying that Tita was acting like a crazy person and refused to leave. That fucking word I can't pronounce. Fine. If she is acting crazy, then I'm going to put her in an asylum. There is no place in this house for maniacs. And without a moment's delay, she sent Felipe for Dr. Brown to take Tita to an insane asylum. The doctor arrived, listened to Mama Eleanor's version of the story, and set off up the ladder to the fucking word I can't pronounce. He found Tita naked, her nose broken, her whole body covered with pigeon droppings. A few feathers were clinging to her skin and hair. As soon as she saw the doctor, she ran to the corner and curled up in I think it says fetal position. No one knew how much she told Dr. Brown during the hours he spent there. But towards dark he brought Tita down, now dressed, and she got into his carriage and drove off with him. Chencha, weeping, was running alongside the carriage as they left and barely managed to toss onto Tita's shoulders the enormous bedspread she had crotcheted during her endless nights of insomnia. It was so large and heavy it didn't fit inside the carriage. Tita grabbed it so tightly that there was no choice but to let it drag behind the carriage like the huge chain of a wedding gown that stretched for a full kilometer. Tita used any yarn she happened to have in her bedspread, no matter what color, and it revealed a kaleidoscopic combination of colors, textures, and forms that appeared and disappeared as if by magic in the gigantic cloud of dust that rose up behind it. And that is the end of chapter 5.